We're glad to have you back. Now, rapid development of artificial intelligence will bring profound changes in the world's economy. With its strong empowerment, it will have a profound impact on manufacturing, finance, medical care, retail, logistics, and other industries. Artificial intelligence will have positive and negative effects on productivity and economic growth. Expansion of the labor force, employment, enterprise organization structure is more flat transformation and upgrading of industrial structure. And artificial intelligence could lead to unemployment, increased income inequality, and other national security issues. A founder, Applied Artificial Intelligence Society of Bradford, Mr. Moshood Yaya, is joining me from the United Kingdom to continue the discussion. Yes, thank you so much. Mr. Yaya, it's good to see you.
It's great to be on the show once again and talk about, of course, artificial intelligence, which I'm pretty much very passionate about. Good to be on the show again.
I know, right? Now let's start with the present situation or where we are with regards to AI before we get into some other dynamics around it. But tell us, are we getting there? That fear of saying AI will take jobs is something that people are worried about. Tell us what more we need to know about this.
Okay, so I mean, that question comes in two ways. Are we getting there with AI? That's one itself, which is an offshoot of what we talked about the last time, right? It's still an ongoing journey, like I talked about the last time. And it keeps improving with better computing capacity, storage, and all of that. It keeps improving. But then on the flip side, it comes with a lot of challenges. Now, the topic of whether AI takes job is a bit elaborate, and I like to look at it in different ways. For example, we need to first look at the things that lead to the lack of jobs or people losing jobs in the tech industry. It comes in different ways. It comes as a result of a lot of policy changes since the pandemic. A lot of companies actually got into the mood of hiring so much because there was so much demand for technology and social media, all of that. You will see the rise of the use of TikTok, Snapchat, and all of that when COVID came. And this brought a lot of demand on the technology companies. And over time, they had to really make a switch to make that to help meet up with the demand from the people. And it's not always straightforward when we attribute it to AI. That being said, whenever people talk about the downside of running artificial intelligence or running an economy fully backed by artificial intelligence, the first thing that comes to people's head is cyborgs, the huge use of robots and all of that we see in movies. But the first effect actually is on the people directly. Artificial intelligence will lead to automation, and that means a lot of random routine jobs will be lost. Artificial intelligence would lead to delivering tasks a lot faster, learning things a lot faster, and all of this leads to reduction in jobs. And it begs for the question of how does this affect us as a people, like you rightly said? And it affects in many ways. Number one, I, for example, always tell people that I think in the next 5-10 years, we would have an issue of companies requiring more senior developers, senior data scientists, and all of that, more than the graduates. And that's going to be a huge challenge that we would battle. And why did I say this? Is you have the likes of ChatGPT and the other large language models that helps you to get tasks done so fast. And that means we need people that think more critically than people that will take on the technical routine that's been done by the less experienced individual. So over time, companies will now transform into needing more of people that can think critically, that can solve problems, because the problems that will require 10 people to code or to program, for example, would probably over time be solved by 2 people. And there lies the biggest problem that we've been running from as a result of artificial intelligence. And it's just normal whenever you have industrial evolution, so to say. We bring in solution because of certain challenges that we're facing, and it ends up causing a new set of challenge, and the ripple effects keep going on, and that's where we are now. Since November last year, the development in AI has been immense. I mean, if you take a break for 2 weeks, it's almost like you've been away for months, and then the battle comes in because it's all about AI and human. It's never AI versus human, and whoever keys into that on time probably wins the battle for the future. But yeah, the unemployment rate might. I mean, I'm not an HR specialist, but the unemployment rate might increase sporadically, the more we have more AI innovation that automates processes that individuals are supposed to be doing.
So clearly, it seems like some jobs will be lost, new jobs will be created, one way or the
Absolutely.
other. That's exactly where you're pointing out. Interesting stuff. But we talked about this the other time, but I'd still like us to touch on it. That's are the possible threats here. We need to be factual about this and let Nigerians and, of course, all our other viewers abroad understand what are the positives and negatives of artificial intelligence. So what threats do we need to look out for as we move on in 2023 and, of course, beyond?
The one that affects people the most is always the ethical point of thing. For example, the fact that, I mean, we all heard about the documentary, The Great Hack, Cambridge Analytical, and that's literally a specific case of where data can be used to.
Well, let's see how we can get back to Mr. Yaya and continue our discussion around artificial intelligence. I expect
What kind of the sensitive Yeah.
go
What
ahead,
kind of
please. Go
sensitive
ahead.
data do you have stored? Yeah. What kind of sensitive data do you have stored from individuals, and what do you do with the data? And again, particularly with ChatGPT, for example, you have people interact with ChatGPT and put a lot of information on ChatGPT, and you don't know that there might be a challenge of releasing your personal information because at the other end there are engineers working on making these products better. So that's one of the ethical challenge. But the biggest one, like I've said earlier, is always the chance that employment might be lost easily. I mean, you have a case of people of tasks that probably require 10 people to do in 10 months that what they see is right, but we are at the crossroad where there should be a demand from government to actually move to a more strategic position where the better good of the people should trump individual companies gain. And why am I saying this is at the end of the day, if I automate a lot of process in my companies and maybe I have to retrench 20% of the people, it brings a lot of stress on the economy because the unemployment rate goes up without even the government or the country doing anything bad to make that come in. It's just the fact that we just live in a world of continuous growth in technology. And there's always a tiny bit of hypocrisy from big AI companies. You see, OpenAI, for example, was never against ethical issues arising from AI before ChatGPT came up. But the moment they end the market, it became a crusade against it, and everybody wants a bite of what AI brings, and then become a crusader against the negative effect that it brings. So it's neither here nor there. There's a lot of learning and unlearning to tackle in this case. But then the challenges are far reaching. But the one we need to look at the most, rather than looking at maybe robots will take over a world or anything, the one we need to look at the most is the unemployment that might be caused by AI. And then I can only give one advice. Companies need to embrace the use of AI. Industries need to embrace the use of AI. Individuals need to embrace the use of AI, not to be left behind. But on the flip side, countries have to institute regulations that would actually put in place that if you're bringing up a technology that takes job from people, it probably should be disabled from being done to avoid literally the biggest challenge that we're going to face, which is mass unemployment. That's not really related to anybody's undoing.
Very great there. But let's now touch on technology, unemployment. I know you've run about that, but what about the issue of Chat GPT? Let's stay more on that and understand the chat GPT aspect of it. What does this portend for users?
Okay, so first thing, technological unemployment is literally unemployment that comes as a result of the development in technology. If
Okay.
I have a company today, I would obviously want to automate the way things work, want to save more money. And if I need to pay 20 people, for example, to do data entry, and I can use ChatGPT to automate the process of filling up some data entry task in my organization, and that would cost me maybe $100 as against paying, say, 10 people to do the same task for about $5,000 in a month. Sure, and I would agree that as a business person, I would tilt towards spending less for something that will probably be more accurate. Now, ChatGPT, the way I call it, the way I look at it, is more like a very, very knowledgeable individual or who is just about maybe 14-year-old who needs to be guided right. You need to learn about the intricacies of guiding ChatGPT to give you the right answers and all of that. But the moment you're able to figure this out, it becomes a very, very immensely a profitable tool for any company. You can use it to get automation done. You can even use it to build new products new technological products that literally pushes away the need for human interaction in tasks. And you see a lot of things coming up today. You see, if you're an avid LinkedIn user, you see platforms that helps you to generate content where you just wake up, schedule the content, and then that's it. You see platform that helps you to generate videos, audios, images that looks like it's almost 100% free and 100% real, if I might say. And you now look at the problem that would face companies that are content creators, into graphics might start losing the bit of leverage they have in the market when a tool can do it for much lesser of fee. And that's where the biggest challenge of technology and employment comes. A lot of time, if people look at AI, they look at the robots and the very, very hi-fi things. But the real challenge that would face is the one that would face us individually when people's source of income and earning capacity starts getting lost because technology can do what you're doing and even a lot better. For example, if you're a copywriter, for example, I'm sure a lot of people cannot speak for 30 minutes without having one or two grammatical error. But ChatGPT is trained on rich amount of data that, trust me, it probably beats the best copywriter when it comes to copywriting. And then you ask the person who owns the business, would you rather trust ChatGPT over an individual? And that's where the technology and employment start fizzling into it. And we start feeling it as a country, as a community, and the whole world at large start feeling the effect because people would gradually start losing jobs. So it's something we need to start looking at because before it becomes even more major. A lot of the retrenchment we're seeing in most companies now is because of overemployment, over acquisition of staff during pandemic and all of that. The real effect of ChatGPT and AI is yet to eat us very well, and it's probably on the horizon.
Mm. Now, in the news, we saw that US is curbing AI chips sales to China. I thought to ask you that. Some say this could cause permanent loss of opportunities. How would you react to this, and what do you think is really playing out here?
Okay, I mean, the global politics is something that it's except you're an expert in that space, it's
Mm.
always something that's on for ongoing debate. We see what happened with some of the Chinese mobile companies that lost the chance to use Android or sell in the US, and it was a huge effect on that on them. And when it comes to AI, one of the part that a lot of people fail to look at the most is the fact that the level of energy consumed by AI and the possible level of waste coming from AI. So a lot of companies, a lot of times you see the chat GPTs of this world are the ones that make the news, but those that make the chip, the hardwares, and all of that on the background are actually the ones that are making the most profit. If a startup today raises a huge level of money, it goes to the guys that makes the equipment, the chips, and all of that. And US is probably one of the leading countries in this space. So it's an interesting battle that I would like to see unfold. It's not one I'm interested in predicting at the very, very elementary stage. But looking at how much the United States has held the technology really, especially AI, it looks like one that would rather be in favor of the US from my point of view.
So what is your outlook for the entire AI space moving on, regards to maybe adoption and all of that?
Adoption is something that every well-meaning organization, company, country, individual has to adopt. Obviously, we see a lot of things that are probably not right in our country, Nigeria, for example, and we think there are ways that we can bridge all of this. So, I mean, that's not what I want to go into deeply. But then we need to realize that this is a world that we are going to live in going forward. I mean, you wouldn't want to imagine yourself traveling to a new place and not being able to use Google Maps, for example. I'm sure you would vote for the comfort of being able to use AI to make your life easy. And that tells us really from a personal point of view that it's something that we must learn to live with. So it's never a case of AI versus human. It's getting to a point where human doesn't have a choice than to live with it. And one of the interesting things about this is the fact that the big companies that are really pushing this have a lot at stakes. And I mean, you would want to agree that the countries where they are paying tax and all of that will back them as well. So it's never going to stop. There's a lot of financial gain there, and there's a lot of ease of work, automation, and all of that it offers to those that consume AI. So it's gotten to a point where individuals should learn to live with it. Countries, communities, organizations, if you get left behind by AI, by the surge in production in AI and consumption, then you might get left behind in totality. But then there's a note of caution, which I always say, it's not, you don't delve into it and do everything because everyone is doing it. It's about the suitability. A lot of time people want to do AI because, okay, that's the trend. That's what investors will pay in a startup for, to anyone that has AI. But at the end of the day, you see them doing a task that is just a general, typical data analytics task gets done with AI because you just want to have AI in your product, AI as what you use. So we shouldn't go with the buzzword, but we need to examine everything around us and everything we work with and see where AI can actually help, because I don't see any organization operating or any individual getting employment without a sort of knowledge of AI.
Interesting stuff there. I know we can't finish this discussion in a day, but let's just leave it here today and we'll continue again next time. Interestingly, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Moshood Yahya, founder, Applied Artificial Intelligence Society, Bradford. Thank you so much. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to always be on the show. Thank you for having me.